Welcome to the Mayor's Update for June 2016. I'm Megan Pembroke, Communications Director for the City of Everett. Each month we sit down with Mayor Ray Stephanson and talk about issues and projects that are important to you. Mayor, welcome.
Thank you.
It's your favorite time of year, summer.
Oh, I know. It's the only time of year you can go out walking at 4 in the morning and it's light.
It is. It's nice. We got to enjoy it while it's here.
The only place that was better is that in 2008 we took my dad back to Iceland and the sun never set. So I was just like I couldn't believe it. Sleeping 2 hours a day going, why am I tired?
Well, we have our mini version of that for a little bit here.
We do. Yep.
Well, Mayor, I wanted to start, as we do most months, talking about the Streets Initiative and the progress we've been making. We had a milestone in May. We have selected a potential site for our low barrier housing facility. We also issued a request for qualifications for a developer to build and operate that facility. Can you talk a little bit about what that milestone means?
Well, it's really a significant milestone for a number of reasons. But first of all, I just want to share with everyone that we were very deliberate in terms of selecting this site, which is just east of Evergreen Way. The east-west street is about Peck's Drive. It's on city-owned property. There's a covered reservoir there. Fire department does some training. They have a mock building there that they train. But it really makes a lot of sense because some of the other properties we looked at to get a 70-unit complex on was difficult, and then trying to meet public transportation commitments and other services. It just this one really was quite ideal. Clearly, there is a neighborhood close by, but there is some separation. And if you go to the west, for example, it's mixed-use development. And so it's not just totally surrounded by a neighborhood. So really what's most significant about moving forward is the fact that we've got this tremendous need to put chronically homeless into shelter and housing, because once we do that, we can start the treatment program. And a lot of professionals will say, without housing and shelter, the success of treatment really diminishes, and there's just no predictability. And that's what Salt Lake City has found, Spokane, Bellingham, Seattle, obviously. And that's really sort of the model that we're following. And it's particularly a challenge, and the reason that this milestone is so important is with vacancy rates 2% or less, the ability to integrate the chronically homeless into existing housing stock is a huge challenge. And we are just, as you know, we just keep running up against barrier after barrier. So if we move ahead, we've selected a vendor to design and to build that, and that's Catholic Community Services. They've done this in a lot of other communities. They know how to do it. They know where the federal funds are and how to access them. And I've heard citizens say, well, gee, 70 units and 14 million, it's a lot of money, but think of the money we're spending today. I mean, our top 10 chronically homeless folks are using $500,000 in services every year. And so when you look at a project like this, and once the housing is up, and you're able to do it like $14,000 a year per person, it's a pretty good return on investment. And so I think those are the practical reasons. We clearly know and understand and appreciate the fact that, this is sort of new, and there's sort of the fear of the unknown, and what's it going to be like, and, are there going to be people wandering through my neighborhoods and sleeping on my lawn? And that's exactly the opposite of what housing like this will do. The fact is, we do have people on the streets, and we do have people infringing on citizens' rights and their property and their person. And this is a very controlled environment. There are services there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You know, the coming and going of the clients that are inside is monitored very closely. If there's any issue with businesses or residents, the staff deals with them very proactively, and so that has just not been other cities' experience. The whole idea here is to help the individual to get the treatment, give them a quality of life, give them the respect that they deserve. But the residual benefit is getting people off the streets and really improving our collective quality of life. That's the goal. And this isn't just some altruistic effort here, you know, so we all feel good. There's a very practical reason to do this. And that's what we need to keep communicating to our citizens and to our businesses, that, you know, we are really trying innovative, successful approaches of other communities. We're not reinventing the wheel. But we also know we can't stick our head in the sand and pretend we don't have, you know, an issue on our streets. We do. And we're really trying a lot of different creative ways to deal with it. If somebody commits a low-level crime, for example, and can't pay a fine, they can work it off on a work crew. We're looking for alternative sentencing for nonviolent crimes. And, you know, what we're trying to do is stop that revolving door of, you know, you're on the street, you do something, you get picked up, you end up in jail, you get out of jail, it starts all over again, and you're through the court system and through the jail, and all the while, nothing's getting better. And, you know, there's other programs too, in terms of treatment programs and the intensity and length of them. Treatment programs, and I know we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think that I really do feel that on as many fronts as possible, we are really trying to take a holistic approach to this challenge that we have. And this challenge is felt by dozens, hundreds of communities across this country. So it's just not us.
Well, and like you mentioned, we're looking at a lot of innovative approaches on many different fronts. One of those that the police announced this last month was that they're officially joining PAARI, which is the Police Assisted Addiction Recovery Institute. And this is another tool that they can use to connect addicts with treatment. Can you talk a little bit about that and what our police department's been doing?
Yeah, and PAARI is really a creative, innovative way to get people into treatment. And the professionals will tell you that the shorter length treatment periods, the 30 days, the 45 days, the 60 days, you know, the recidivism rate is about 80%. If you can get somebody into a longer period treatment program, sometimes up to a year, you reverse that. You know, 80% of those folks are off drugs and out of the emergency room and not committing crimes and not on the streets. So, you know, hats off to the police department for joining that effort. And again, it's really important for our citizens to know, because it's their taxes that provide us the services or the revenue we need to provide services. We are doing this, one, because it's the right thing to do, but two, we're also doing it to be more cost effective with taxpayers' money. And that may mean that we have to front some of this before we start seeing that return. And that's okay. If the situation gets better, that's okay. And we believe from other communities' experience that we're going to see and make progress.
Well, that's great. Thank you for the update, Mayor. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Boeing and upcoming summer events.
In a world where college is expensive Actually, Everett Community College is pretty affordable.
One brave soul undertakes a long journey.
No, the college is close to where I live.
In a class of hundreds.
There's 24 people in my class. My instructor knows my name.
Hey, Nigel.
But all alone.
Except for all my new friends. See for yourself. Go to everettcc.edu to schedule a tour.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Update. Well, Mayor, I wanted to take a second to talk about Boeing. Last month you got to participate in a happy event for them. Can you tell us a little bit about the Composite Wing Center and its grand opening?
It was something to see. We were in this 1.3 million square foot building. I don't know how many football fields it'll hold. A lot, and a lot of soccer fields. And this is the center for the composite wing construction, and there's large ovens that will bake these new wings. The first composite wing to be used by commercial airlines. And it was just a very festive, very fun event. Ray Connor was there, and I was invited to speak, and that was terrific. And the employees were happy. And you know, we think about that center, and I think it speaks volumes to Boeing's promise and commitment to build that 777X here. And they have met that promise and more, in my view. And two, unless we, follow it up, this is a 50-year commitment by a company to our community. That's huge. And that's why I've been so supportive of that center and seeing it come online. And then I remember back to all the people in the trades that were unemployed during the recession. I mean, it was really tough for carpenters and electricians and laborers, and to see over 1,500 people at the peak working on that site was something to see. It was just really good stuff. And so 4 years from now, the first 777X will be flying and in service, and I think it's a proven airplane. I think it will have years of great success. It will compete in the world market, and but it was fun to be there and fun to see that incredible building and the excitement of the Boeing employees. It was pretty neat.
Well, and Boeing's also celebrating their centennial this year.
What a great way to do it, right?
Yeah.
A new building.
And I was hoping you'd just take a minute to reflect on that. I know you've talked a lot about being proud that that we build things here, and Boeing's a big part of that. What does Boeing mean to our greater community?
Well, first of all, I would say, it is one of the most remarkable companies, I think, in the United States history and maybe world history. And anyone who's followed this company from, building airplanes out of plywood and its contribution to World War II in winning that war and Vietnam and other conflicts. And to think of these men and women who design these airplanes, and you can fly anywhere in the world, fly further, more efficient from a fuel consumption perspective, more comfort. It's just, I look at one of those airplanes and I don't see props and I go, how does that thing stay in the air? But smarter people than me have figured that out. But so for any company to reach a milestone of 100 years is saying something. And for a company like Boeing that is a source of income, family wage jobs for thousands of employees in this state, in this city, and around the world, it is a great success story.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, let's close by talking a little bit about summer events. This is a wonderful season in Everett. We have concerts, we have festivals in the park, things to do on the street. Sorticulture. So for somebody who might be new to Everett and wondering what all is in store, can you give us a little preview?
Well, with long days and short nights, we have Sorticulture, which comes up in the middle of June. I think it's a weekend before Father's Day. This is sort of a garden art show at our Legion Park, and Cisco is there, and a lot of artists, and it's just a wild success. It just grows in leaps and bounds year after year. We have music series in and around the waterfront. We've got activities and outdoor movies at Silver Lake. The player pianos will, I think, come in August, or not player pianos, but pianos. There's typewriters will be out. There's just a lot of fun things to do. And then with the growing music community that's really embracing Everett, it's just been a huge addition to our music series, which occur on Thursday nights and Saturdays and Sundays. The farmers market, for a few years, has moved out by Boxcar Park on the port, and I've been a couple times already, and it's just packed and great food. And one of my favorite all-time food is beets, even though they're really hard to cook and they take a long time. They're so good, and so it's just a wonderful time of year. And the jetty will open in July. People can take a free ferry out to the jetty before we build the gondola out there, and so. Yeah, it's just, this is a place to be. And, you know, more and more, and we hear this, you know, we still have affordable housing. We're seeing migration out of King County. You can get a lot more home here. And now that sort of does add to the traffic problems. That's why we need light rail. But the point is, I think people are really discovering this community and all that it has to offer. And I am a huge proponent of free parks activities. You know, I just think it's wrong to ask our citizens to pay their taxes and expect a quality of life and then charge them extra for it on top of that. It's never made any sense to me. And that's why we used to love to go to state parks and just drive around and go out to Camino Park and drive through in the middle of the winter. Now you can't. I mean, you have to pay just to go on site. I just think that's ludicrous. But I'm digressing. Well, anyway, it's a great time of year.
It is, and we have, if you visit enjoyeverett.org, we've got a whole list of all the concerts and the Cinema Under the Stars and all that stuff. So a lot of family-friendly stuff for people to enjoy this summer.
I'm sure I'll see a lot of our citizens out there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again next month.